Good evening, Free Enterprise viewers, and welcome to tonight's featured community club, the Eblan Spelunking Club. Our featured runner today are NG Dave and Harumph. I'm joined in the restream booth today by Reckless Charlie and J-Mac pushing the buttons today. I am S-Grunt, and I am joined on the microphones by Dathis today. How are you doing, Dathis?
It's a wonderful Tuesday evening. We have some fantastic runners here. We have Engi Dave, as you mentioned, and the man who loves himself a harp. So we're hoping to see one today, Harumph. It's gonna be fantastic. Hopefully, we see one before we have to go underground. But I think the nice thing we're not gonna see is actually a white mage. I'm super stoked for this.
Yeah, so for those not in the know, the Eblan Spelunking Club features the Falcon Percent flag set, made possible by the most recent release of Free Enterprise, where the sole objective is to launch the Falcon. The hook route is required, so we will never see the underground, because by the time you get there, we're done. Today's twist on the flag set, as Stathis has said, is that we have no white mages available to take us down this hook route, so things might get a little bit sticky.
Indeed. The thing we could see, though, is we could possibly maybe see an Asura for this Rydia, and that could be could possibly be our only level of healing outside of Cecil becoming a paladin, but you don't really use him for that when he can just do DPS. Speaking of DPS, we have ourselves Yang as our starting character. Someone you kind of are happy seeing. Decent pile of HP, fair amount of strength. Overall, this is a good start. You kind of maybe want to see a Sid, maybe want to see again that Rydia. It depends. I'm excited to see who we find, though.
Yeah, well, Yang is probably not the only character you want to find here, but certainly a good asset to most party compositions that we can find that would be able to take us down the hook route here. With that having been said, even Edward can get through a hook route by himself if you're lucky, but that's beside the point.
Speaking of things that we'd like to see on the hook route, we already have chat hoping for DKC into Evil Wall Week. Edward would be fantastic if we have that lovely pairing. I also kind of hope we don't see it, though.
Well, I mean, Eddie can take on an evil wall by himself, so there's that. I'm personally rooting for Keinatsu. Total on hook route is always a good time.
Yeah, I'm really excited for, again, some of the rude things that we can see. I know a lot of people are thinking Alt Gauntlet at the King Queen Eblan spot because, Alt Gauntlet to get XP before the leather fight's entertaining.
Yep.
What else would be really fun there? Evil Wall is mentioned. Anything very punchy and very fast. Depending on what we find the rest of the seed, I actually am a big fan of seeing Dark Elf at the Rubicante spot. It is deceptively evil if you're not ready for what kind of punishment it can put out. Have you ever had a Dark Elf at Rubicante when you weren't fully prepared for it?
I know I've had a Dark Elf at King Queen spot when my characters were two Tellas. I managed to get through that.
Ooh, I was going to say, let me introduce you to not only the starting secondary character, but you getting pigged before. Hey, look, French Vanilla, because he's off on the side. And we have King Queen Eblan giving us the spoon tonight.
So Edward might actually be the star of the show tonight if he turns up. Then again, if we find Edge, that spoon will be just as useful for completely different reasons.
Oh, absolutely. It's, again, that back and forth. Are we happy to see the spoon because it can give us a Crystal Sword Eddie? Or are we happy to see it because Edge can kind of throw that around and have ourselves a good time? Take your pick your poison, and hope that it's not walking around music.
And that does depend on one or the other of them showing up, of course. It could well be that we find neither of them. We see both of our runners are heading into Watery Pass as their first move. Not a bad play. There's one of the things that can make or break a good Falcon percent is how good your equipment is going into it, and this is certainly a place where we can make some interesting pickups.
Absolutely. I am a big fan of the Watery Pass loot. It's one of my personal favorites, and again, with the amount of high tier loot that you can generally find here no matter what, is fantastic. A little lesser known routing or looting location is actually back of Hobbs. It's about on par with this. Yeah, it's only 4 chests. If you have yourself a Tella somewhere, it makes it even more fun. We did see a coffin, so if we find a free boss in a spot we just kind of want to knock down real quick, very good. Poison Axe for that Cecil when we make it, if and when we make him a paladin.
Or of course, we can turn up a Sid or a Kane somewhere and put that poison axe to use a little bit faster than that.
Absolutely. And that's why I love actually finding Kane on some of these flag sets, because Kane is a very good Swiss Army knife really early on. He has access to swords, daggers, axes, his spears. So you kind of can't go wrong with some of the early looting to find something for him. We are fine. That is Damsian of the ninjas, though. 3 middle swords all in a row.
Yeah, rate my Damsian. Where is my edge out of 10?
Absolutely. You know what? I'd honestly say that that treasure was a little middling.
Indeed. It still might give someone the edge, though.
This is true. If anything, it's a little bit of money that we can get, and with whatever we can find in shops. So far, nothing very spectacular, as Eggy did a little bit of shopping in Kaipo. Nothing special. Both of them are getting up the hovercraft right now, though. I am very curious as to see what the first key items are going to go for, though. I foresee both of them going towards Antlion Cave, personally.
Yeah, I can see an early Hobbs check being in the cards. That's what I would do under the circumstances. That indeed is what Harumph is doing right now.
Absolutely. Get that extra party member. Could be another bag of HP, could be a Kane or the Sid, as we mentioned, to make use of that axe. It could be Edward to make use of the spoon.
Here's Kane.
Hello, my friend.
Kane gets a bit of a reputation as being a remarkably average character, which actually makes him incredibly well suited to this, just because he's so versatile.
Absolutely. The only problem with picking up the poison axe right now, though, it is a two-handed weapon, so you have to take off the shield first. But Dance and Dagger will generally be doing more damage than anything else right now. Look at that, 300. We are in some vanilla strats right here. I'm 100% down for some vanilla speedrun.
Yeah. Alright, and while that fight winds down, Enchi Dave is heading over to Troya Castle. Now, while we don't have the Bedward key item, the free key item that's normally available for everyone in Troya Castle on in this seed, we do have 9 chests worth of loot in the Troya basement. This might make for a significant difference depending on what we find here.
White arrows not really making a huge difference, but again, as you said here, those charm arrows can do a little bit of work if you want to get some XP. Poison claw, and yeah, we got some okay stuff. A nice bonk stick if we ever need to berserk somebody kind of at will.
That power stack can actually make a significant difference in the right plays, in the right circumstances early on in the seed.
Oh, absolutely. The only thing is, I don't think we actually have anybody that can use that, now that I'm thinking about it.
We will need to find someone to wield it, and we don't have that yet. Harumph is going to Antlion Cave now, as we'd expect, opening a few chests on the way through. I often see a lot of variability in how much people loot their way through Antlion Cave while they're here. There's the philosophy where you just, if you feel like opening anything at all, you only open the one chest you walk by. Many players will open the first 2 chests that we saw Harumph open there. A few people will loot their way through everything and can find some surprising loot. That is, I believe, Water Hag.
Indeed it is. That is a Water Hag. See, I'm of the side that once you see a treasure chest, you have to open it, because it could have something nice. It could be the nicest thing you've seen in the seed, and you don't know until you open it. So open the chests. I'm sorry, my inner loot goblin decided to come out to the seed. Yeah,
well, you see, we have this club called Looters Anonymous that's running right now. Anyway, yes, Water Hag.
3 quick hits, has migrated a little bit north and east from where its normal location is. Very free boss and a free location. Would have been something you would like to see at the end of the seed, but you can't really argue with a literal free key item, that being Darkness Crystal. That's a character check, because I don't think we're doing anything else up there right now.
It would be very surprising the circumstances in which you need to do anything other than a character check in F11% seed. It's not impossible, but it's highly unlikely.
Asserting dominance by doing the moon. Also, yes, go visit Zeromus, because you can't find him, so you might as well still say hello to him.
Yep. Okay, next up for Harumph, appears to be heading over to Fabul for the key item check here. The one and only key item check that you're ever going to be making in Fubul and Falcon Percent, because you can't access either of the Sheila checks.
Absolutely. So it's basically, this is just the regular progression we're going. We have a mid to low power curve right now. Basically, we are throwing dancing daggers at everything until we can fight something a little bit stronger. Kane is our powerhouse, and the only way we're going to get through to this is by just whipping daggers around and everything. Not really the greatest strategy, but you know what? If it works, it works.
It's certainly a perfectly viable strategy for the early game. I mean, some of those, as Dathis has said, some of those early game fights you do exactly that anyway in the vanilla game.
Oh, hey, look, DKC. Well, there goes the DKC into Evil into DKC Dream.
I am so disappointed.
I am as well. The nice thing is we see here very low attack power. DKC tickling for less than 100 a shot. Everybody has about 300 HP. Cecil himself is like, it hurts a little bit. But aside from that, Pain Man, more like Tickle Man. And we're going to get ourselves our second key item check. 8 minutes in. Not a whole really lot aside from saying, hey, go do ordeals and go do Baron in.
Yep. Well, with any luck, DKC will not be the only speech in this seed, and we'll be seeing a lot sooner than someday, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. We've already seen 2 speeches. I would actually be okay to go and knock through King Queen Eblan just so we can have all 3 speech givers. That is Harump's favorite key item, though. We're never going to see that being done anytime soon. So buckle in. We have Twin Harp, music on the table. And this is a squad that you're kind of okay to go and do that with. You have a lot of punch.
Yeah, it'd certainly be music to my ears at this point.
Sorry, I kind of tuned out. What were you saying?
So Harp at this point still has Baron in and ordeals to check at this point. I don't think it's likely that we'll see the Harp check immediately, if ever. Could well be that one of the outstanding checks either has the hook or leads to something that will get us the hook. Instead, Harum appears to be intent on going up to the moon to make that character check.
Yeah, you kind of want to check what the gated character is. You're also just looking for any extra body you can possibly find right now. 4 characters makes it so that Hobbs is going to be, or Ordeals is going to be a lot smoother. 3 characters,
Yep.
Again, you can do it with what you've got. You've got more than enough HP to kind of just like absorb the hits, depending on what's there. There could be Cheeky Wyvern there, something like that. You never know.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see who's up there in any case.
Yeah, Engie Dave kind of got the same idea. These runners, for as much as there is like the openness of the world that we have, divergence is not really happening because again, you have a very limited amount of power that you have. So you kind of want to maybe err on the side of caution a little bit, or you just things like, you know what, let's just go through the checks that'll just make it nice, quick, and easy. And again, additional, that darkness crystal just says, well, more bodies means damage comes out faster, and who's not up for damage?
Yeah, and I mean, the limited nature of these scenes means that there's going to be a lot of convergence anyway, just because there's only so much you can be checking at any given point in time. So this is a play which makes a considerable amount of sense, so it makes sense that we're seeing our runners both doing this right now.
Absolutely, and as was mentioned in chat, we also do have the gated shop here. We could see what the Hummingways find, besides them being able to carry a tune. It's interesting. Harumph does not like the harp, but he's completely here for these hourglasses that are in a place full of song.
Sells the middle sword, similar to not finding Edge as the character check here. Now, I think I might have done the character check first here, as Engie Dave is doing, just to see what equipment I might want to keep to be able to buy those hourglasses.
So I'm kind of okay with selling those middle swords. You're basically fighting Edge with the power that he would have at this location.
That's true.
So you're basically like, okay, so I'm not going to have any further power for Edge, maybe like 2 or 3 levels. We get a Quack Kid in the first place anyways, so it's one of those like, you could kind of just do this. Also, as comment in chat, Hourglass and Hair Dryers makes a lot of sense. Indeed, pop that Hourglass, throw out the coffin to kill one of them, and then just slowly chip away at the rest while that Hourglass just sits them there. Possible chance at a nice pretty sword for Cecil, as well as get that Quack Kid pretty much right up to Quake.
Yeah, like having that power level for Pelham for a hook road is certainly a huge advantage.
Absolutely, considering we don't normally see the Quake spell until Rydia is very, very far underground, so it's a spell that's very strong for a reason, and one of the central memes that we have for that specific purpose is the fact that we have just so much in him that he can do. And plus with that change rod there, he's going to be outputting fair bits of damage.
So we see Harumph leaving the moon after having picked up that pellet. Engi Dave also leaving the moon. I guess the hairdryers is not on anyone's mind right now.
That's true. Again, it's a lot of HP to chew through at this point. It's actually boss HP level right now. You kind of are looking at like, what, I think 2,000 HP per each one of those hair dryers. I can look that up, but yeah. And what do most bosses you have right now have? Maybe about 1,000, as we saw in Fabul, and you're looking at what I think 3 maybe at here at Ordeals. So again, completely understandable. There is still Eblan Castle to go to.
And those trapped chests and the fights that are associated with him are both good for experience and might be able to turn into some very valuable items. We do have Cecil in the party. It's quite possible with the loot settings that we've got here that we might turn up one of the big sticks for Cecil, so to speak.
Indeed. I also know that they're probably going to save that till after Cecil becomes a paladin, because you don't want all that experience to go to waste. Hey, look, a boomerang. See, we found another weapon for Edge already.
And we do see Harumph heading up Ordeals right now, so in just a couple of moments we'll be seeing who our bosses up on Ordeals are. And we will eventually be seeing Paladin Cecil, and hopefully some excellent equipment to go along with him.
We get Cognazo into Rubicante, so we have, like, French vanilla with a twist element up here. So it's Mylon, different elemental here. I'm so down with that. Or heck, we could do Rubicante into elements themselves, and that would just be the same sprite twice again.
Personally, I would favor seeing one of Val or Golbez or Wyvern here, just to limit the ability of us to actually see Paladin Cecil to begin with. And also increase the possibility that we need to do music after all.
You know what? You got a very good point. I'm down for that idea. Let's just see Wyvern right at the front so people just go, you know what? We'll come back to this another time.
Second thought, let us not come to Mount Deals. 'Tis a silly place.
Indeed. You're kind of okay with seeing Val, though, because we have a cane. So Val's like more of an annoyance than anything else.
I mean, the significance of finding Val here is that this is not the hook.
This is true, but it also more means the fact that, like, you'll take those fights because you still want to go through that for a Paladin Cecil.
Yes.
Do you really want to go through, like, Wyvern throwing a Witch Bird in your face or Golbez right now? Not really when you don't have a healer and you're kind of limited on your life potions. It's a fight that's a little more rude than you think when you don't have, a Cure 2 just kind of sitting in your back pocket.
Yeah, no white mages to back everyone up either.
Not even Summoner Baby Wannabe Light Mage, because we did see an Asura summon, so that means that if we did find Iridia, she is useful in that aspect. Oh, hey, we got a Dwarf Axe. Back row glitch that cane.
Hooray! Alright.
Speaking of hooray, we have Octomom, who waved the hands in the air, just didn't care, and is knocked down. We get some levels. We see Lit too. That means we have a couple of our elemental spells for Porum. No fight's going to be a bit of an issue anymore.
And we have the Hypo Guards, or Hypo Soldiers, as the second fight here. With that coffin in hand, this is technically a very free fight. We'll see if Harumph wants to use that here or decides to do something else.
I think with the Dancing Dagger, you kind of just look and go, I don't really care. You kind of have, Harumph's just like, you know what, let's
There's the coffin.
Fast. Yep. Coffin out.
No sense in spending more time here than you need to. We might not see any of the rest of the free fights that coffin will be useful for, so Harumph is taking that risk, I suppose. Also sneaks in a life glitch on the officer, which is very nice.
Very, very sneaky. I am 100% here for that. The bonus XP you can get, especially for this Palom right now, everything you can get to get him closer to his power overwhelming is exactly what you need. And look, the soldiers are even helping us out and focus fired the middle one down.
There's the rare use of darkness to poke at the last guard or soldier.
I was really hoping that was going to kill it off. Because, I'm a big fan of darkness being, honestly, as useless on us, fantastic on the enemy, and I'll never understand. Why couldn't we be as powerful as that?
You need to live on the moon first, or at the element spot, or something like that, and then your darkness will be useful.
But I want it to be useful now.
You can wait until we're at the giant.
Oh,
Okay.
that'd be entertaining.
Okay, Harold heads into the mirror room here. We're gonna get a look at the key item first, and then see who the boss here is that is guarding Cecil's transformation into a paladin.
Let's go. Pan. Ooh, Adamus. That was actually my second thought.
So, of course, because we can't get underground, the adamant is completely useless, except insofar as it is a key item. Not that I think we're going to hit 10 key items before we get underground here. That's Demist as the boss in the new room here. That is significant because Demist does gate a key item in this flight set.
We're going to get the Legend Sword, so we're going to have the entirety of Forge. That will never happen.
Yes, we can get the Excalibur Cecil after the seed is done.
Exactly. I'm 100% here for that. Kane, though, not here for Demist. One jump, one shot, out he goes. My boy doing some work, and we're about to see... Well, we're going to see in a little bit after a quick walk down and after a little flight. I would go check that Demist right away, obviously, because you're looking for all of one real key item right now.
Yep.
And you don't want to go and do that harp even with this, but you also kind of maybe want to avoid Baron. I don't know. I'm very curious to see who's there.
Well, that Demas check is the fastest check that we can make right now, so it does make sense that we would go there immediately.
That is very true, and these seeds in general just seem to be very, very quick. It's a nice change. Like, again, I love my free enterprise. I love my 3-hour seeds. I've seen them before, but it's nice we have the nice things of the speedy seeds, and so that I don't have to keep rolling jet seeds for everybody. That we can just have a nice, quick, chill, free enterprise race tonight.
Like I don't always have a lot of 2 or 3 hour time slots to run for late scenes, so I quite enjoy shorter flights like this. Okay, Harump is in Mist Village, is checking to see what the item we get from Demist is.
Package.
And it is the Baron key. Interesting.
And the chain starts.
Okay, so I don't believe we've seen any checks of... Well, actually we have. Never mind. So Harump is probably going to Baron right away here.
Yeah, 100%. You do Baron in, then you go do Baron Castles. Paladins at the power where he can kind of just walk over things. This poor Cecil has all of 0 armor. Poor boy. This may be the least amount of items I think I've ever seen for a Cecil. Yeah, I'd go check that Baron shop. Be like, can I get a sword, please?
Okay, and we see Harump doing exactly that. You see anything interesting here? That rune axe is very interesting.
I think I'd be very tempted. Actually, you know what? I would just grab the dancing dagger, to be completely honest, because the dancing dagger is about what you'd be using right now anyways. So, like, if you were doing vanilla strats, so there's no harm in just grabbing that and just having Cecil throw dancing daggers. Rune axe, again, not a bad call. Great pickup. But if you want to just, like, throw out damage and not really think about it, dancing dagger, also a really good call for... Oh, hey, look, a nice brand.
So I guess ultimately Sin's going to end up with that rune axe.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of axe wielders, we have a punch mage, and we have a quack kid. I mean, this is kind of all you can really ask for in a seed.
Yeah, this is very well suited Zerker type party for getting to the hook road here.
Now, where are my wines? Because I have no healer.
Yep. Alright, so we see Leviathan is the first boss here. Leviathan will most likely die in 1 or 2 hits from this party.
Now, Leviathan is actually deceptively annoying here. A quarter of your health gone, just like that, as we see here. Big wave going, knocking off that HP. You don't have an easy way to heal it back up. So yeah, it's a quick fight, but you've already lost a quarter of HP on everybody before anything even happens. So that's a cheeky little unfortunate thing.
Yeah, it's not exactly the ideal way to enter the second fight here, almost no matter who it is.
Vanilla! I would like it noted, I am not the one who rolled this. The fantastic Reckless Charlie, in fact, did roll this, as well as JMac keeping the tracking going on. One big shout out to those who are running around in the background.
And let me also give a shout out to Dathis for joining me on the microphones today.
And of course, the fantastic S-Grunt, who is keeping me honest and having a good couple of laps with me.
Yeah. Now, this fight is actually completely free, well, almost completely free, assuming you survive the hits, if you have Paladin Cecil on hand here. Because after the first 2 rounds of Yang doing his thing, there is a counter script to specifically being attacked by Paladin Cecil, which produces the ouch message and ends the fight immediately.
Absolutely, and I don't know if you saw that, but oh, hey, look, Sandra, we have another character. Is that our elusive Edward, possibly?
Perhaps it's the Rydia that could have used the Ashura we just sold.
This is also very true. But I don't know if you saw, in Mist Village, we did pick up a couple of black belts as well, so we have some okay armor now for the Cecil, who's also wielding that rune axe, so I don't think he's going to see the Ice Brand, which I kind of don't blame him. Once you're at this point, you're like, okay, I got enough, not going to loot a little bit extra. I am curious to see what the exact path is. I very much expect this to go to Sanderby character into Eblan Castle checks now.
I certainly do see Harumph checking the Sanderby character here right now, so we'll see who that is in just a moment. That is another Cecil.
You don't say no to that, to be completely honest.
Well, Harumph seems to be content to say no to that. I can kind of see that being the case here, because how are you going to equip that Cecil? We're having a hard time equipping this first Cecil enough as it is.
Harumph actually has the ability to gear up the Cecil. We do see, again, we saw the Rune Axe, we saw that are here. We additionally also saw the Ice Brand that was in Baron proper. So he's got a sword for one of the Cecils, an axe for the other. You can just have Sid be your anchor once you go to the underground section. And again, you can take this team, like, okay, this is going to be the squad that I've got, and I'm going to go and do Eblan Castle. Hope to fish out another sword for one of these Cecils, even if it's like a defense sword or something. Well, again, yeah, there's enough looting left in the sea to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, if I knew we had a reasonable chance of turning up the big holy swords for a Cecil, I'd certainly take the Cecil at this point. I find it an interesting decision that Harumph is not at this point.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to ask him about that, because I am very curious. Engie Dave doesn't even care about the Sand Ruby, says, let's just go down to Baron, let's find out what we got. And I'm honestly, you're here right now, you can go deal with whatever character later. It's not super important. You've got 5 people right now, you've got like, this is enough.
Yeah, like, I think the only reason you'd be inclined to go and check, well, the main reason you'd be inclined to go and check before you come down and do the rest of Baron Castle right now is if you wanted that character from the Sand Ruby check to get the extra experience from this.
Yes, the other nice thing though is he's going to stay within slingshot range, most likely. So yeah, so you don't really mind that they don't get the experience, because they're going to get roughly the same, if not more, if you can go and life glitch up some of them ogres.
Yeah, and I mean we've got the life potions readily available in Dissidia, as was pointed out earlier. So with that in hand, and the ogre's chest or any of the other Eblan trap chests for the most part, you're certainly going to be able to get a lot of life glitches in and slingshot someone up to where we need them to be.
Absolutely, and while we have King Queen Eblan, we just have Harumph, who says, I don't care about waiting, we're just going to go fast, and we're going to do all the damage we possibly can. Kills off the king. Queen is going to be shortly to follow whenever she decides she wants to take her turn.
Which might take a while in this spot.
This is a very slow spot, and Kane is a speedy boy. That is the big benefit of having a Kane. He is fast. His agility growth is kind of fantastic.
Yeah.
It's less so if you're trying to do him as an anchor during sea hero strategies, because then you're like, I need to find everything I can to just drag this down. Because he gets, like, not quite edge levels of agility, but he's fast. Like, it's deceptive how quick he is. I mean, he does have to take all that armor and jump into the air, of course.
Yeah. You kind of need some level of strength and speed to be able to jump like that, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Right. So, NG Dave is also checking those chests and is also just proceeding up into this next Baron throne fight. We have Ashura on the throne.
different level of royalty. I'm kind of here for it though. But yeah, I think the looting that we're still going through is more like Harumph knows we have another Cecil somewhere, so he's looking possibly maybe to even pull like another Ice Brand, which if you pull another Ice Brand, you're on power disparity of where you would be taking this hook route in the first place. So again, a lot of the weapons we're seeing, we look at them and go, well, these are low tier weapons as we would normally call them, but we don't need anything real special to get through the power that is like what 21,000 HP,
25,000 HP if I remember correctly.
Yeah, 25,000 HP. It's nothing. Honestly, not much to really scoff at.
Yeah, it's that fight can be quite a slog depending on who exactly is sitting in that spot.
Absolutely, and we do see the reflected star veils. The only way that you're going to be able to get a wall off on this Asura during this seed.
Because we have no white mages to be able to cast walls on, sure, here. We can see that Rune Axe is doing work here.
Yeah, absolutely a fantastic investment. Even if you knew that you had the option of the Ice Brand, the Rune Axe doing on par, if not more damage than these viruses from Palom, which is his best spell right now, and honestly his best spell for a hot minute. Again, single target, really good damage.
Yes.
It's kind of interesting how a lot of people put a lot of prosperity into your melee, saying, oh, bruisers are fantastic. Mages in the early parts of seeds, like especially here, they run away with the show. You've got so much power in, again, finite power in the fact that they're MP, but when you're only spending 10 at a time, you're gonna get a chunk of damage out.
Yeah, the trick is just getting your early game mages to the point where they can actually start putting out those level 2 spells, those viruses, and just getting things to the point where they can actually steal the show like that, which admittedly only takes a fight or two, but those early fights can be quite difficult with just the mages to deal with. And Engi Dave actually is through the Ashura fight before Harumph is. You can see the power of putting that veil on Ashura just by using the 2 star veils.
Yeah, and honestly, there's nothing wrong with the way Harum's playing this either. Life 1 locking is the safest strategy because you may need those veils for later, and you may not find. Hey, look at Edward. I think we're gonna take one of him. You may want those veils for later reasons. Oh, really? Interesting. I mean, I guess he's missed enough experience.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see what Harumph decides to do in the face of that Edward.
I am very torn. I would be so tempted not to just snap take this this spoon word and just kind of run with it, because, you know, again, it's spoon word. There's a good shot he's not going to get targeted. You may find some Bacchus wines and just kind of let him run away with his ability to hit. But we've also got to get him a bit of experience to get him rolling.
That is the hook from Baron Basement. Envy Dave is now technically in go mode, because that is the one and only key item we need to get through this.
So I'm going to say this, you kind of hate to see it, because I know we all wanted music. I think the only person who's extremely happy is Harumph.
Harumph isn't happy yet. Harumph still needs to fight the hook in a couple of moments, but yes.
Wow, Engi Dave also turning down that second Cecil.
Well, with the hook in hand, it makes a little bit more sense to do that. I suppose it's possible that we're going to see an Eblan check before a decision to take that Cecil or not, but I have the sense that we're not going to be coming back there.
No, I 100% agree. Unless you get exactly through these Eblan chests, you get 2 Crystal Swords or 2 Excaliburs or something along those lines, or even you see lightsabers for sale. Yeah, I definitely do not see that second Cecil going back for, unless, like I said, unless there's very specific circumstances.
No, Engi Dave is heading directly into Cave Eblan at this point.
Also, I'm pretty sure you saw, but we now have we have a spoon word here on Harumph's side, does pick up that Edward, so I'm down for the divergence in these characters too.
Yeah, this could make a significant difference depending on what bosses await us on the hook road today.
Absolutely, and it's very interesting. Again, we see some coffins here. If you wanted to get a bunch of experience for a really cheeky fight, you could grab a couple of them, go up onto the moon, and again, use one of those hourglasses, use those coffins, and there's some free experience for some hair dryers.
Yep, that is a significant time investment if you want to do that, though. So again, depending on who we find here, that might not be worthwhile.
Absolutely. I could see it for maybe throwing some levels onto this Sid and this Cecil and this Edward, just so you can get them into a great power spot. Again, it would be a very specific fight you would have to do. I would almost say if we see Evil Wall, I could see it happening, because that's a lot of HP you got to get through very quickly, so you need a lot of power.
Yeah, on the other, if we find Evil Wall in the King Queen spot, that is another Cecil on the hook route.
You've heard of second Cecil, but what about third Cecil?
Well, I think we all know about third Cecil by now.
Do we also have third Crystal Sword, though?
Well, Harumph should be finding that out for us soon enough with this pass through Castle Eblan. And as we're pointing out in chat, as is being pointed out in chat, that is Mob Bomb on the hook route.
Yeah, that is an extra 10,000 HP you're not excited to go and see. You'll chew through it because you absolutely have to, but aside from that, you're kind of looking at this going, I really, really don't want to. Harumph pulling out some okay armor, though. We see some Dragoon gear, and I saw an illusion or two. Oh, and we have our first trap chest.
And speaking of trap chest, Ender Dave also finds the Ogre's chest along hook route.
And this is where that hourglass and those ogre axes, they are going to come in very, very handy, and you're going to get everything you need. Again, the only sad thing is no edge, so we can't steal Bacchus wines from these guys.
But we can get a huge amount of experience from this, and who knows, we may just pull one of those big swords for Cecil out of this chest.
Yeah, I definitely foresee that if we pull out a big sword or two, we may have a double back for one of these extra Cecils. Just because, again, you're looking at a lot of, the power that you'll need to get through this seed.
Yeah. Alright, Harumph is through that Black Cat and Lamia fight. We'll see in just a second. That is a Zeus Gauntlet. Certainly a very nice find for this party of mainly physical attackers.
Absolutely, you're happy to see it. Unfortunately, Cecil got no experience for that, and he's gonna be the one who's gonna be doing roughly the most amount of damage. Again, I love Kain. He's a great character, but his strength growth and everything is it's so low by comparison that he's not able to keep up with the star of the show.
It's certainly adequate, but it's going to pale in comparison to many of the other physical attackers we can get, especially Cecil.
Absolutely. He's going to be doing better than Yang, depending. If we can find an elemental claw that the boss is weak against, then Yang will be putting up. That's the wrong crystal game.
Yes, we see crystal, and then it's crystal gloves. That's not the crystal we're hoping for.
I'd even take a crystal ring over that crystal gauntlet.
Yep. Harumph, meanwhile, has found the second trap chest in Castle Eblan. It is the Stellman and Skull chest. So clearing through that with a well-timed firebomb, and is taking some unfortunate damage from the Sailman here.
Yeah, this is another reason why someone going at this with lower HP is a little rougher than a lot of people might think. These fights kind of they just don't mess around. Look at this. Look at the way he's just throwing out the damage. And it looks like Harumph is probably, gets through that fight. Only Palom standing, but the Quack Kid should be very close to Quake. There it is. Means that other fights aren't going to be a big deal. Life Staff, not really helpful when you need to throw out some life potions.
Yeah, honestly, Quake is the bigger prize from doing that fight.
Absolutely, and you're kind of wanting to get, again, a little bit more XP, especially on this Paladin and the Kain. Just to get them up and rolling. You don't mind the Edward not getting any because I guarantee he's going to be our anchor. And here's our other Mad Ogre chest. So this is definitely where you're going to want to throw out one of these hourglasses.
In the meanwhile, Dave is now preparing to see who the first of our two hook route fights is. So we'll have the full measure of the seed in just a few moments.
That is the really interesting thing, is what we're going to have for our next two fights, because it is a large indicator of how things are going to go. We are putting the least amount of damage onto the Cecil. Looks like he's just going to be there to tank hits, which you're okay with because that means he's just going to do part of his job. That's a lot of damage left on the floor, which is unfortunate, but not much you can really do when the game's kind of not giving you weapons for
Yeah, it's certainly a bit of a trade-off, but cover strats do make a considerable amount of sense here. That's dolls in the first slot. That's actually quite favorable.
Yeah, that's going to be I honestly don't even think you stop them here. You just kind of quake them away.
Quake Kid will probably end this fight with one Quake. Assuming that Palom survives that long.
Yeah, that's the one thing, if you were to say, like, if you were to go in a perfect world and make sure you had everything fine, you would have Cecil cover Palom specifically. That way he would have taken no damage just to make everything fine. But Palom doesn't take many hits. So, again, we're talking perfection here. This is absolutely fine. And we have we are 37 minutes, almost 38 minutes in the seed. We have no finishers, but Engidave poised to be first on stream and in this race to be done.
Yep, because that's this is the last fight of the seed, assuming everything goes well. We don't need to do this more than once. Yep. Then we're done here.
Yep, Mom Bomb does one thing, she punches, and you're just here to quake and knock her down, because she is not here to do really anything else. You're gonna want to save at least one quake for when she splits apart. That quake doing about 2,000 damage. Very nice. That Cecil taking 2.
Yep. So this might take a little bit at the rate that we're putting out damage here, because again we do have at least 25,000 hit points to chew through in order to trigger the second phase of the fight. So we will get there, we just might be here for a little bit.
Absolutely, and we do have a couple of Succubi, and we do have the Lilith Rod, so if we get to absolute necessity, we can take Cecil's MP, and we can even give that to Palom. So we have an extra battery just in case we need it, because it looks like he's doing all of the heavy lifting in this seed.
That might be one of the most useful things I've seen Cecil do with his MP in quite some time, if necessary. I mean, Cecil makes a great exit mage, I suppose, but generally he's not doing very much else with the MP pool he has.
No, his heals are going to be rather low. He is here to just make sure that Quack Kid can get his thing going, do a little bit of damage along the way. You could throw out some of them dancing daggers just to speed things up a little bit. But aside from that, you're kind of just here to watch Porum do his thing and watch everyone around being like, I'm doing my part.
Harump did pick up some cat claws and cure 3s on the way through the shops here, on the way down into the rest of Hookrat here.
So we no longer have a monk, we have a cat folk monk. I wonder what's his highest stat roll. Is it dexterity or would you be going wisdom?
That's a good question. I'm not sure I can answer. Harump is looting on the way down and finds 3 chests with rune rings in very rapid succession.
Oh, baby, a triple.
Alright, but Eggy Day is now through into the explode phase of the Mom Bomb fight. So one quake after this point should end the fight.
Indeed, and the attack stat here is okay, so this explode's going to do some damage. Yeah, not a lot. Cecil's still standing, that's the important thing. You've got the cover up, and he's still not in his weak phase, so he's just going to be taking whatever hits come Palom's way, which are 0, because that is Quake coming out. That is all the damage you'll ever need. But Engidave just snatched from defeat before he could get first place done. We do have our first place finisher, Possum Morpheus. 41 minutes, 5 seconds flat. GG's to him on first place on a very quick seed.
GG's indeed. But it looks like Eggy Day is through, and we'll be done with seed in just a couple of moments. Will be our first on Restream to finish.
Absolutely. The seed does not technically finish until we fully raise that falcon. I want to check peek the boss, see who you might have been fighting at one point. But look, I just like knowing things, right?
Yep.
Is what could be in these treasure chests.
That's perfectly fair.
And we have Harumph, who's going to be looking at this Cecil, saying maybe yay or nay. But we officially see here we have launched the Falcon complete, all objectives, Engi Dave, 41 minutes, 50 seconds. GG's to him. Very well done race. And let's see if we can get him in for an interview.
All right, and with that ding, I believe we are now joined by Engi Dave, our second place finisher overall and our first on restream to finish. GG's.
Yeah, thank you. GG's, everyone.
So, 3 Cecils, and you took 1. What happened to the other 2? This could have been all Cecil all the time.
Didn't have weapons for him.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were saying.
And the first one was fantastic because, well, he basically was the first one was a cover bot.
And he did that very fantastically. Palom had no problems, took the explode damage, and that was it.
Yep. Honestly, I think that's what cost me first place. It took me too long to flip my gear around because unequipping is hard.
Unequipping and overlooting is hard, but yeah, it's, again, very quickly done, very nicely done, honestly. Very clinical. We see the harp. You know you have Harumph as one of your racers in the room. Did you ever think about going and checking it just to be cheeky?
I thought about it, and I had thought about it, and then I got the Baron Cave, like, this just routes too perfectly. I have to do it. Plus, it was off an Ordeal's gamble.
Yeah, but you have a Cecil. You kind of go to Ordeal's like, all right, we'll just make him do some damage.
Speaking of which, is it okay for me to restart my stream? Or reset the game?
That will be up to our restreamer. I believe we should be okay because we don't really need to check the other key items. So
okay, I'm gonna get you some harp music.
Yeah,
I assume Harumph didn't do it, so I'm gonna get you some harp music.
Oh no, absolutely not. Are you kidding me?
And I don't have a save outside, so I'm just gonna do a new game. It's gonna be faster.
Would that actually be faster?
Than walking out of the giant? Yes.
Walking out of the tower.
I guess that's fair.
Or walking out of the tower, yeah. So, while I'm doing this...
yeah, so while you're running through this, again, so we start off, you have a spoon. You did eventually see that Edward, and you passed him up. Why pass him up versus pick him up?
I thought about it for a while. I was debating it, but I figured that Palom was going to be enough DPS, and I can only cover one person. I didn't have much in the way of strength boosting gear at the time.
That's fair. The only real strength boosting stuff you actually found was in Mist. Aside from that, and then the strength ring near the end, not really much for the physical fighters. They got to kind of take a back row to the kind of late Quack Kid, which was really nice.
Yeah, but on the note of damage bonuses, we have a Cecil in hand. Admittedly, you're using him mostly for cover strats here, but did you give any thought to maybe looking in some of the other trap chests along the way, like maybe Eblan Castle, see if you can pick up the big sword for Cecil?
No, I was on cover Quake the entire time.
Yeah, totally fair.
Yeah, I had to set up for it, and yeah, because I had bought some hourglasses on the moon, so I had to set up. I knew I could just take the Mad Ogre chest. It would be more enough to get Palom to Quake.
Yeah, speaking of, you see Mom Bomb, and what was your thought? I see a target for some Quakes after the explode?
Yes, that's exactly what I thought. And then the first fight's like, okay, I got all set up for this. It's gonna be nice and easy to set some cover, and it stalls.
More quaking.
Yeah, this is the Palom show.
Palom's like, I've been training my entire life for this.
I mean, sometimes all you need is a good Palom to get you through a hook route.
Hey, didn't we just have a perspective race about him? He wasn't content just to be the hero of that show.
Was there a hook road involved in that, though?
I don't know.
And we do have Kuja's theme. Thank you very much for showing that off. Fantastic little theme. Final Fantasy IX, a great game. So these little seeds here, basically the bite-sized seeds as we were kind of calling them. How do you enjoy doing the Falcon percent seeds?
Honestly, I enjoy them. I find it challenges what you can get away with on the hook route. I mean, this one there wasn't much room for cheeky low-level hook routes because you had to clear a good chunk of the overworld to even get there.
Yeah, and a lot of it was honestly free. You have King, Queen, Eblan, and Baron. You have soldiers at the back attack spot. Anything that could have been, quote, rude for you was extremely free. So how did you kind of feel about the bosses you were throwing up against?
Panicking.
Oh?
All the free is here. What's on the hook route?
You know what? That's actually fair. And hey, you know what was on the hook route? More free.
Well, maybe not completely free, but still relatively free compared to some of the other things that could have been there.
Not Baigen.
Yes, thankfully.
Honestly, the potential rudeness on hook route is why I went to the moon character hunting. I was looking for edge.
Yeah, I think everyone was looking for a Moon Ninja. You actually didn't sell any of your gear before checking ahead of time. Harumph sold everything, said, whatever's there is there. You have the coffins and you have the hourglasses. Was there any thought, like we were talking up here in the booth as an overall, were you any thought about taking maybe the hairdryer chest for some cheeky experience, or is it just like not at all?
I just didn't, it slipped my mind. That's all there is to it.
And you know what? That's absolutely fair.
Also, I only had one coffin at the time, so I still have had to legitimately kill the other 3. Coffins were for sale on the hook route.
Another very good point. Escrunt, do you have any other questions for him?
I think I've got everything that I wanted to get through, so I'm good.
Again, GG's any day. Thank you for letting us restream. Any other thoughts you want to have?
It was a fun seed. Thank you to you two, Dathis and Escrunt for talking about this, J-Mac for pushing all the buttons, and Charlie for restreaming.
All right, again, GG's and thank you very much. Again, that was Engidave, who was your second place finisher overall, first place finisher on stream with a time of 41 minutes, 50 seconds. GG's to him. And while we had that finish, you see on stream Harumph, who was our fourth place finisher, second place on stream, 48 minutes flat. GG's to him. Judge Joe finishes just before him at 43 minutes and 16 seconds. And then we also just have a time of 48 minutes and 42 seconds of the Godslayer himself, PK4787. GG's to all of them, and we're going to see if we can get Harumph, who has actually just joined us, Mr. Hartmeister himself. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right.
All right, so about those Cecils, especially knowing that you could get rune axes and the like for them, why not take more of the Cecils?
I didn't feel like taking more of the Cecils, to be honest. That here, and I tried to avoid shopping as best I can here. I didn't feel like going through the menus here to shell out here the money here to get the rune axes.
The one rune axe is very useful, at least.
Yeah, if I could, not mess up the life lock here, or remember that I had surveils.
Yeah, but you also elected to take the Edward with the spoon in hand on the way out of Barton Castle. What motivated you to do that?
At that point here, I didn't feel like buying gear for Sid, and I was figured here I was gonna need to do a bit of a grind here to get some levels on Palom, to get him up to Quake. So yeah, the Edward would have been outworking Sid for my guess was that Edward would be out damaging Sid here, and that, and I never found a bow in all the digging or the few shops I did check here, so I couldn't back row anyone except for Eddie, who comes pre-back road. So
yeah, totally fair.
So, speaking of that Eddie, you took him up. What caused you to decide you wanted to grab him as opposed to keeping, say, Sid as your anchor?
Alan was good enough. It was gonna be fine here. I wasn't too worried about situation. Worst case here, if I see it was going to be really nasty along the way here, you could always bail and go to. I had an exit item in hand here. I think Cecil had exit at that point here. So worst case, worst, so you can always bail here, and you have a fairly low level Sid that you can drag from the woodwork. Yeah. Otherwise, here, Pound is going to be good enough here. When I saw Mom Bombs, all right, it's just get damage out here, throw an hourglass once the bomb split, and you're good. Really, was only KQ I was worried about here, and Calbrian here is one of the nicer bosses you can see, especially when you have a Quack Kid.
Yep, almost as free as you can get in that spot.
Yeah, I've seen worse. It was a bit of a mess, though, the way I ran it here, but I'm a bit rusty.
Well, at least you did not need to suffer through the heart check.
Yes, of course. Well, it's always a good time here when you don't have to make the dive to that dingy old cave.
Speaking of, so you did a lot of extra looting. Like you went for all the trap chests. How happy were you with the level of loot that you saw in the overall of this seed?
I really didn't care all that much about the loot here. So I just need to find good enough equipment here. The trap chests here were just to get Palom to Quake. I really didn't care what was in the box. The Zeus Gauntlet was nice-ish. But the rest here is eh.
I mean, still, we could have found the big stick for Cecil, but that ended up not happening.
Well, the chance of finding, super great gear for Cecil here isn't great in the Cyber Flag set here when you don't have when it's K main here, so pretty much any overworld check is going to be a key item instead of a chance at some decent loot. And T Pro, rune axes. Yeah, if you're lucky, you might be able to buy a light sword. That's about it.
Yeah, we didn't see anything really great high tier gear wise, even for the Cecil. The best we saw were ninja swords for the Edge, who wasn't around.
Well, you never know. I'm not sure if anyone checked Twin Hub to see if there was a character check behind that. Being that here, so there may have been an Edge in the seed here, and there's already the Giants somewhere here, so the Edge may have very well been in the seed here. You just would have had to jump through a lot of hoops to get to it, but he might have been there.
Indeed. All right, so is there anything else you want to put towards the seed?
No, it's with fewer resources here, this was definitely one of the more fun ones here. Definitely one of the more challenging ones as well here. So, good job with tonight's seed here, and of course we have to shout out here the restream team. Death's Grunts on the mic, J Mac pushing the buttons, Charlie putting everything together. Great job as always.
Indeed. And again, thank you for letting us restream you. And again, Angie Dave, thank you very much for showing off tonight. And GG's on your 4th place finish.
Thank you. Now I'm getting some dinner.
Om nom nom. Again, our 4th place finisher, 2nd place finisher on stream, 48 minutes flat. And as we were having the interview with him, we had Mike34 finishing at 51 minutes and 20 seconds. GG's to them. That is going to be all from us here tonight. We are not going to be done with Free Enterprise, though. Where are we going to be going, Escrunt? Where are we headed off to? We're going to send all these friends.
So, with today's stream wrapped up, we will be sending you over to Flossifern, who is running a set of flags intended to be used for the upcoming tournament. Also, while we get you set up to go over there, also be sure to tune in later this week. Tomorrow's tomorrow on this very channel, we'll be having the Music Appreciation Club restream at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll also have the Friday Night Community Race over on Free Enterprise 2 at 10 p.m. featuring the Summoner's Tour flag set. And on this Saturday, we'll be having the Hero's Journey at 3 p.m. Eastern. So be sure to tune in for those as well. So thank you for watching tonight, and we will see you for a surprise tomorrow as well, apparently. But in the meantime, thank you for watching.